Hey everyone, this is Carson Reed, and this is how I make music for short films. There are a number of steps that will take you from beginning to end of your music making journey. Let's take a look. Arguably, the most important part of the music creating process happens before you even touch your workstation: pre-production. Yes, even composers have to do it. The very first thing you should do should be a discussion with the director over the tone, theme, and overall direction of the story. You need to get a solid grasp of what the story is and what you can do to further it, as well as make each of your expectations clear. You should also go over the script with your director. You should be marking the script for ideas such as where motifs may lie or where you don't even want music at all. The other important step in pre-production should be finding inspirational music. This is somewhat like a DP's photo board. Have your director find music they imagine working well with their film, and you should do the same. You want to find music that has the right feeling or style that your video will undertake. Talk about likes and dislikes of each of your examples and get to the root of why you liked your choices. The most important thing to remember is that the director is your client. You need to follow what he or she wants. You are not making music just to make music. It should be in line with the director's vision and also meet the needs of the story. You'll have a lot of downtime between pre-production and post-production, as your role doesn't really pertain to what happens during production. This time allows you to experiment. Go through your pre-production and try to create a style that works. It doesn't have to be a complete, fleshed out project. Just start trying to create bits and pieces that would fit the story you and your director talked about. I would recommend showing these bits of music to your director a lot. This way you aren't missing your mark and you can adjust before going for the real deal. These experimentations might even be inspiration for your later works. Just don't waste this time by twiddling your thumbs. Either be experimenting with different projects or learning what it takes to be a composer. Before I had a rough cut for Limbo, I watched masterclass videos from Hans Zimmer, which helped me figure out a lot more details about composition with film. Use some of this time to figure out what professionals do in this field and incorporate those tips into your own compositions. Note that your experimentations likely won't make it into your final video, but they will assist as points of inspiration. This counts more as an in-between step if anything. As a composer, you aren't required to go to any of the on-set shoots. However, it might be helpful for you to be on set as you can start to visually see what the movie will look like. It might even inspire some styles in your writing once you get to work. Again, this is optional, but it might draw out some ideas from you. It's finally time. Your editor has given you a solid rough cut for you to work on. Fire up your DAW and start getting to work. In my case, I use FL Studio 20, but it doesn't really matter what DAW you use. It could be Ableton 10, Cubase, or really whatever. The most important tool is you, which is cliche, I know, but the computer is just that, a tool. The music needs to be from you. Make sure your DAW is capable of syncing the video with your timeline. It's super important that you can time certain musical elements with events in the video, so be sure to find that function somewhere in your DAW. For FL users, you'll find that feature in the channel rec with Fruity Video Player. This is locked behind the Signature bundle, or you can purchase the plugin separately. Simply load up the video and get ready to go. Pick a tempo that fits the style you need and start working off the pre-production and experimentation you did in steps 1 and 2. I would highly recommend making different files for different scenes. It's a lot of extra work to try and fit every composition in a single file, so just do yourself a favor and separate them. Whenever you have any substantial bit of music, show your director with the video. Context matters. And just like any visual or audio editor, you'll have your own version of rough cuts. When you've completed your rough for the entire video, have a sit down with your director and watch through your cut with the music. He'll let you know what things are doing well and also some tweaks that should be made. Don't be afraid of changes. They're really important to keep the music consistent with the screen. Keep working until both you and your director are happy with the changes that are made. At this point, you should have a final visual cut and, if you're lucky, a final audio cut. After you've tweaked all your music to the likings of your director, finish by polishing up your music. Listen through everything and make any changes that your ear wants. Your biggest friend will be your inner ear. Sometimes you'll hear a change in your head, so be sure to test it out. It might work, it might not, but it could lead to a better overall sound. Once everything sounds musically good, you'll need to mix your levels to any dialogue. Your editor will help you do this, but there are a few things you can do to make the line between music and dialogue more distinguished with EQ and such. Now, let's say you finished up. There's 2 ways you can send your music to your editor. You can export each scene of music separately and name it in a way that makes your editor's job easier for placement. Your file name could look like Dinner Scene 611, where the first part describes the scene and the number sequence is minutes and seconds. And this is what I did for Limbo, but I think this second option might be better. Put all of your exported music into one master file in your DAW and time everything that way. export that as one file, and send it to your editor so you can just drag and drop. And just like that, you're done. Here are a few things to make your life a little easier when producing. Don't go off the grid. For my very first composition, I thought it would be easier to hit my hits if I had no grid. While this did the job, it also made the rest of my work incredibly difficult. Trying to line up chords with a melodic line without a metronome or grid to line up beats is one of the more frustrating things you'll have to do. I'm gonna say this again because it's super important. Don't make music just for the sake of making music. I can't stress enough that your role as composer is to create music that accompanies the video. It needs to fit the style, the narrative, and the needs of your director. If you're writing for a horror movie and you make a song in a happy major key, you probably aren't hitting the mark. Write for the visuals. Be brave and just start. If you're scared that you aren't good enough to write for film, shoot down that thinking immediately. Something that Mr. Gallagher will tell you often is that the best way to learn is simply by doing. So, just do it. I was lucky enough to have a friend who risked his background music sounding like crap so I could write for him. It helped me learn so much about film music, more so than any online videos or articles could teach me. It's okay to be intimidated, but if you don't start, then you never will. Get lots of opinions. Obviously, your director should have the final say, as they are your main client, so their decisions should be the main ones you focus on. That doesn't mean that you can't get other outlooks. Show your clips of music to friends or family and get their take on it. They are the people who will be your audience, so getting direct feedback from them isn't such a bad idea. Set goals and deadlines for yourself. Of course, you'll have a final deadline when the video is supposed to be done. However, it could benefit you to set up a few other incremental deadlines. Give yourself the goal to finish a certain scene by the end of the day, or set a deadline to complete the rough cut within 2 weeks. These goals will not only help you to stay on track to completely finish your score, but will also help motivate you to get to work. Nothing like the impending deadline to get you motivated. These steps will also work for non-short film videos. Recently, I got a job with this awesome dude, Aiden Adair, to make corporate sounding music for promotional videos. Before I got the green light to get started, I did a lot of research on corporate music by listening to the music and taking notes. I experimented around and got to work on a rough when he gave me the official video to work on. I showed him rough versions, got feedback, tweaked, and finalized. No matter what type of work you end up doing, you'll still want to follow these general guidelines. And lastly, have fun. Just kidding, that's really not helpful. Still do have fun though. Hopefully these steps were helpful for you. I know this wasn't an in-depth look at the music creation itself with note placement and whatnot, but know this process is important. Going into this type of work without a plan is a surefire way to get stressed and lose motivation. Good luck out there and make some awesome music.